circulating for months. Kay had turned into an obsessive listener to the BBC while it reported what was happening in Austria, Czechoslovakia and Poland. But in Denmark, even with Germany just next door, events had seemed removed, almost remote. She and Bror took their places at the breakfast table early on that April morning. He pale and grim, she flushed and on edge. They gazed at each other, and Kay imagined she heard in her head the appalled cries of protest at this new arrangement of Europe. It had taken all day to get a phone connection to her mother in England. Fearful, anxious hours, and lipstick-stained cigarette butts were heaped in the ashtray by the time she got through.
"Kay!"
Her mother was on the verge of weeping, which was unlike her.
"Your sisters and I have been desperate to hear from you. We've heard the news. Are you all right?"
"Are you all right?" It was baffling how such important conversations could be reduced to the basics. Kay searched to make the verbal connection mean something. "We're getting over the shock."
"Darling, couldn't you come home?"
Home. She thought of Piccadilly Circus, of the lisle stockings she used to wear, of nips of sherry in meanly sized glasses and overdone beef for Sunday lunch, and of her mother, standing in the passageway of her tiny cottage at the end of a waterlogged lane, clutching the telephone receiver. She thought, too, of her mother's deferential, polite widowhood, lived out on the edges of a society that didn't rate widows very highly. Coming to live in Denmark, she had left all those things behind.
"Kay, I wish you didn't live so far away. I wish... I don't want to die without seeing you again."
"You're not going to die, Mother. Do you hear me?" Her mother pulled herself together, as Kay knew she would.
"I've taken in 2 little boys, evacuees. The bombing is so bad in London, and they're sending all the children into the country. They had fleas. Imagine. They don't speak the King's English, but I'm getting used to it."
The timed call limped to its 3-minute limit. England was cut off. Kay shook herself, determined not to dip into homesickness. Her life was here now, in Denmark. How hard it had been to keep the homesickness and misery at bay when she first arrived as a nervous and badly dressed bride. Having met Bror at her friend Emily's 21st dance, she had married him only 6 months later. It had been a fast and exciting transition. Too rapid, perhaps? Although she was deeply in love and saw her new life as an opportunity to be grasped, she had been ignorant of the battle she would face in turning herself into a woman capable of running Rosenlund. The Ebersterns expected conformity, and there were times when she'd had to fight to subdue her rebellion. There had also been occasional clashes with Bror, whose politics were more old-fashioned than hers. Yet, in those early days, her senses had been stoked and stroked by physical love, by the sights and scents and tastes of a different country, by the challenge of mastering the Danish language and customs. It had been a time of languor, of sensuality and of plenty, when the glittering mysteries of ice and fog during the long dark Danish winters offered some compensation for the occasional moments of sadness. Inside Kay's walking shoes, her toes were cramped. Sweat had gathered at the bottom of her spine, and the waistband of her skirt was unpleasantly damp. The truth was, she was frightened. Truly terrified she had made the wrong decision. To steady herself, Kay started counting up to 10. 1, 2. They were lucky at Rosenlund. The war had not really hit them here yet, or in Kå, the ancient fishing port just 3 miles to the east. Only a short train ride from the capital, Rosenlund still could and did function along traditional rural lines. The seasons dictated its agenda, so it had been